Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Mike B. Spence's YouTube channel. We got a fun topic tonight. We're going to be doing the top 10 Star Wars side characters. We each came up with, before I do that, let me introduce who's with me. To my left or right is my good buddy, Chris. Chris, thanks for coming back on again.
Of course. Glad to be back.
Awesome. And then below me is Chin, who's going to be running the ones and twos. Chinmo, thanks for coming.
Yeah, of course, man. I mean, I love coming on. Plus, we're talking Star Wars, so of course I'm going to be here.
And because it's a Star Wars theme, I thought I got to reach out to one of the other biggest Star Wars fans I know, Justin Nemesis Prime. Justin, thanks for hopping on today.
Yeah, absolutely, Mike. Thanks for having me. It's been the first time, and you've been on our show a couple times. So good to be here. Good to talk Star Wars characters, especially side characters. So
I know this is tough.
Super.
We all made a list, and I'm pretty sure each list went through a handful of revisions. And I didn't even put an honorable mentions slide in because we'll talk about it. But there's a lot of honorable mentions in this list.
And as we let more people come in, Chin came up with a fun giveaway idea. Did you want to talk about that right now?
Yeah, let's do. So you don't have to do it right now. It's not going to be like a start line, answer this question kind of thing. As you see in the slides, there was a handful of characters we were not allowed to put on this list. So probably after you see that list, you might want to make your guess. But there is one character that made all four of our lists. If you first person I see in the chat to guess it, I'm not going to tell you till the end. I'm just going to write down the name of whoever guessed it. I will send you this awesome Ahsoka cover from Dr. Aphra, Clone Wars anniversary cover. And then since we're talking side characters, who doesn't love a nice Jedi autograph card?
Can't beat that.
Oh, yeah. Right? Eth Koth. Who I forget his name. It's Chris Edgerly.
Awesome. So on that first side, Chin, you have like our little like kind of rules and
I did.
Okay, cool.
I put our off limits list, if you will.
Alrighty. Awesome. So here's the slide, and we'll still let a couple people trickle in, but before we officially start. But yeah, if Chin, you want to show that slide, we can start talking about.
Here we go. Here's our off limits list because there was a handful of them. So we had when we came up with this, we decided we're going to do side characters. So kind of eliminated all of our main characters throughout the movies and shows and stuff, which is some of them pretty obvious, like you see Darth Vader and stuff on there. Some of them, not so much. We had to kind of really debate whether or not they hit that side / main character. But the list we came up with for off limits was Luke Skywalker, Leia, Han, Chewie, R2, 3PO, Anakin / Darth Vader, Obi-Wan, Padme, Rey, Finn, Poe, Kylo Ren, Ahsoka, and the Mandalorian, Din Djarin.
And this was really tough. And I'm actually surprised kind of some of the ones that we did allow made it. But, I'm sure everyone has, their own opinion. People are going to be like, oh, are you sure about that? But what? But I think, the two lists I saw, because Chin likes, and I do like how Chin likes to keep a little mystery. It's two very diverse lists in a way. And I'm excited to see the other two lists, and how it all shakes out. We got a few more people coming in. Guy Forge, thanks for popping by. Loving the new logo by Alex Garcia.
Look at that logo.
And hopefully that means we get to see Nikolai appearance soon. That would be awesome. But guys, always, thanks for tuning in. Feel free, yourself and everyone else in the chat to, voice your opinions. Let us know if you agree with our picks or not. And as more people come in, I'll have Chin go over the giveaway rules because there is a giveaway. I apologize that wasn't in the banner. But we do have... we got a little...
Nikki's Magic. I like that.
Awesome. Love the name. And, I think I know. Thanks for tuning in. I appreciate that. Awesome. Appreciate this tune. And Justin here was at MegaCon too. So, we had he's part of the Comic-Con podcast. They just did an awesome recap about that. He was there along with Otto from 3 Men in a Basement, where Chin's also from. They did a video too, so there's a lot of cool MegaCon recap and footage out there. What do we got, guys? Star Wars actually had to bring.
See, I feel bad, guy, because I know for a fact one of your all-time favorite side characters did not make the list. And I'm
Ooh.
sorry.
That's
Ooh.
interesting.
All right.
His good buddy did, but the character that you love did not make the list. I'm sorry.
Interesting. Mike, Brother Blaze, thanks for tuning in. Thanks to love having you here. That's who I thought. Awesome. Thanks for tuning in. Really appreciate it. Hope you guys are enjoying it. And yeah.
I mean, that's accurate. We all do pretty much play music.
Oh, guy.
Jesus, guy. Come on. Family show guy. Come on.
Mike still hasn't even sworn on here. Mike won't swear.
So yeah, Chin, we got a few more people in. And yeah, Justin's from the Comic Com podcast.
Enunciate.
And yeah, so Chin, with a few more people in, I know you just, if you don't mind going over those giveaway rules one more
yeah.
time.
Cool. Yeah. So if you guys want to win this really cool variant comic, I love it. Ahsoka Clone Wars anniversary cover from Dr. Aphra. Was it 36? Yeah, 36. I'll send that to you along with, since we're doing side characters, I picked a nice, awesome, cool Jedi, Eth Koth, Chris Edgerly, Otto, Masterworks. It's on card, so it's a nice autograph. Sorry for the glare. But there you go. I'm going to send both of those to you, whoever wins. And all you have to do to win is you can see the off-limit characters right there that we were not allowed to choose to put on our list. But that being said, there was only one character that made all 4 of our lists. If you want to just throw that character's name in the chat, go ahead and put it in, and you can win the giveaway. You're not going to find out till the end, but I will write down the winner if I see it in the chat. So take your best guess at what character made all 4 of our lists.
Otto, thanks for tuning in, buddy.
Look who's here.
We got great people from the community. We got Guy, we got Otto, Brother Blaze, and it's going to be a fun show. So I think without any further ado, and yeah, once again, please, guys, there's no start line to reiterate again. So if you have a guess who's not going to be on the list or whatnot,
Well, that's
yeah.
a solid guess. I like Mickey's magic guess. That's a solid guess. I'm not going to tell you if you're right or not till the end, but solid guess.
And yeah, with that being said, and
sorry to cut you off again, Mike, but if you do want the giveaway, you got to by pick, I don't know, 6 or 7. You got to have it in there. So you can't be like on the last pick and be like, it's this character. So by
Darth Otto had a lot of consideration, but he's definitely an honorable mention. Alrighty, Chin, why don't you show us our number 10s?
Let's do it. Okay, number 10. Oh, we got another guess too. Darth Maul, solid guess. All right, number 10. Here we go. I figure we're just going to probably go around. I just put them in the corners. It was made quickly. Enjoy the slides, everybody.
Me and my ego, I'll go first this time, and then we can go to Justin, to Chris, to Chin, to Chris. So number 10, I went with Governor Grand Admiral Tarkin. And I actually just watched New Hope today because we had a lovely snow day here in the Northeast. Peter Cushing, right off the bat, phenomenal actor. I'm a big horror fan, so if you edit all the work he's done for the Hammer horror films, phenomenal actor. And as a kid, obviously, I knew nothing about that, but his performance in this show, he's the number 2 to arguably one of the biggest villains, if not the biggest villain of all time. And their chemistry together and how he holds his own, and it's he's such a badass and a person you don't want to mess with. The dialogue between him and Leia, and it's just I loved the dynamic between him and Vader throughout the whole film. You definitely took him seriously as someone who means business. So yeah, I wanted to include him. I'm a big fan of him, in his work, and it was awesome seeing him in Rogue One. They did the whole the reanimated, the whatever, but that was a cool little Easter egg to me. That didn't bother me. And you even got a little bit of him at the end of, I believe, Revenge of the Sith too. So one of my favorite baddies too. We talked about doing a Star Wars villain list down the road, and he'd definitely be in my top 10 for that too.
If you think about it, Vader is not the bad guy of Episode 4. Tarkin is the main bad guy, if you really look at it.
And he's even got a good control, like when Vader's doing the classic, the guy's giving him lip and Vader starts choking him, Tarkin's guy's like, Vader, release him. So other than the Emperor, how many other people had that kind of control over Vader?
There's only one other character I know that talked back to Darth Vader and got away with it. And it's a character we're going to talk about later in this list.
Awesome. Justin, Chin, Chris. So I don't know everyone's list. So if you guys wanted anything about Tarkin or save it for later, completely up to you guys.
I'm
I
good.
think you nailed it. Yeah.
Cool. Justin.
So I chose obviously Chopper first pick. Got to go with my favorite of the droids. I was gonna go with some other characters, but of course Star Wars Rebels is a huge show that I've rewatched multiple times, and of course seeing him in live action on Ahsoka was fun. And I saw him live action, I guess, when I went to WonderCon. They had a Chopper walking around, and then when I went to MegaCon, they had the droid area. They had like this whole Star Wars section, and tons of droids were there, and of course Chopper's in there. And I'm like, man, you know what? I was like, I want a Chopper tattoo. I think that'd be really cool. He's the one, he's the one droid that's kind of like R2, but almost more of a badass. Obviously, he's all about,
A little
killing.
homicidal.
Yes, very
Yeah.
homicidal. So
Yeah.
similar to Afra's droids, but I figured I'd have to narrow out a more, personal character to me. So yeah, Chopper is the best. As far as the droids, obviously being with Hera since she's been a young girl and all the way up through the Rebellion and post Return of the Jedi. So Chopper going for my number 10.
Wait, so you got a Chopper tattoo?
Thinking about it.
Oh,
That's
wait,
awesome.
like lower back, like right thigh. What do you
No,
think?
maybe like my arm because I don't have anything in
Okay.
here.
Actually, no, a friend of mine at Star Wars Celebration in Florida actually got a Star Wars Chopper tattoo.
Well, they had a whole row of
Oh, yeah.
tattoo artists at
Yeah.
MegaCon. And I was like,
Yep, he did that. He saw it. And he was like, you know what? I love Rebels. I love Chopper. And he got it. It was right. It's actually kind of where you're thinking. It's kind of like on the inside of his arm. It's like in the shape of like a heart thing. It's pretty cool.
Could be having it soon.
That's awesome. My only see, the other three people on this panel are more familiar with the video games and the comics and like the anime stuff from Star Wars. So my first big introduction to the character was in Ahsoka, and I loved I thought he was awesome and stole the scene in a lot of the episodes and scenes he was in. But yeah, that's definitely, and I'm a sucker for a cool droid, so that's an awesome pick. He was on my honorable mentions.
Nice. Yeah, I don't think Star Wars has done a bad droid yet. That's not like entertaining or like, oh, cool. Like even 3PO serves his purpose, gets his jokes in there. But Chopper very quickly rose to the ranks of top tier droids. Nice pick. It's a solid pick.
Cool. Chin?
My number 10 pick was Embo. He's in the Clone Wars. He's a bounty hunter. I love the bounty hunters. All bounty hunter hints, you're going to see a couple. I'm a big fan of him. His crazy, awesome circular hat. There's an awesome episode when he's basically, from Russia with loving it, James Bonding it down the side of the mountain. It's just, no. What James Bond is that? Her Majesty's Secret Service, when he invents like snowboarding, basically. But yeah, he's a really cool character. He doesn't talk a lot, which is cool. So he's like that kind of silent, just badass. Also voiced by Dave Filoni, which is even cool.
Oh.
We had 2 Dave Filoni voice characters. I picked number 10. But yeah, it's a character I want to see more of. You don't really know what happens to him, so I'm hoping maybe, who knows, Bad Batch. We'll see what happens. But yeah, that's my number 10 pick.
Cool. And then Chris, I love this pick.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know much. Shockingly enough, I only know Star Wars from just the mains, like the main trilogies, and like a few of like the TV series that Disney Plus has come out. Like I watched all Mandalorian and like a little bit of Andor, and I did watch the Boba Fett. I don't know any characters from the animated series besides Ahsoka, just because how popular she became. I've been trying to. It's just it's for Star Wars, for some reason the animated stuff is hard for me to get into. I don't
Watch
know what it
Rebels,
is. It's
man.
like,
Get in
yeah,
there.
everyone's been telling me that. I really.
There's a reason that Justin and I are on this episode.
Exactly.
That's fair. That's fair. But like, I also just love like a lot of the newer video games that came out, and like I've seen a lot of bounty hunters and like seeing different characters, especially like in the last Jedi Fallen Order game. Like you literally go hunting famous bounty hunters, up until you get to meet the appearance of Boba Fett at the end. Spoilers if you guys haven't played the game. But no, I kind of I need to get into that more because that is a cool design for a bounty hunter.
Absolutely. But Max Rebo.
Oh, so yeah, so what, Max Rebo, yeah.
Yeah, you know what? Okay, here's the thing. Like the other thing I love about Star Wars, the meme culture is real, right? Like you get so many good characters just in the background and for what they do, and I like the Max Rebo band so much because like they're literally in Jabba's palace, right? Like doing. There's so much mayhem going on, and you have these guys just like rocking out, like the guy Max. You know, he looks like David Letterman's.
Paul Schaefer.
Max Weinberg,
Yeah. Also, like all the bands in the movies need a shine. Like even the Cantina band on Tatooine, like they needed like same thing. Like Luke and Obi-Wan were literally just chopping like guys' arms off in the bar, and you hear these guys just going do 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 do.
Play the same song.
Dude, like for real, and like you get all the best memes from the band stuff. But I just loved how like these guys were literally chilling like in a bounty hunter like esque environment, and they're just playing smooth jazz.
Hey, even the bad guys like music.
Yeah,
Jabba's not cheap with
that's the thing,
entertainment.
right? Like, how much money do you think these guys actually got for playing in this club?
It is Jabba.
Yeah,
I'm gonna say they're
We'll
probably
talk.
paid pretty well.
yeah.
We're on a couple cool comments. Summer season Clone animation is trash. Only got better in season
See,
6. Now with Chris and with Chin and Justin, what are your thoughts on that comment?
I don't know about
No.
trash.
I would-
Justin, if you want to go first, go ahead.
No, season 1 was trash. The movie was a little bit better than season 1 because obviously the budget, and you condense it into an hour and a half show. Season 2 is really when it kicks off. Like they're not so stiff. Like the characters moving around, their facial expressions really change in season 2. I wouldn't say all the way to season 6. No way.
In my opinion, it's a show that it progressively gets better and better and better and
Mhm.
better. It just continually builds, and by the end of it, you're like, "This is some of the best Star Wars they've ever done. This is incredible." Yeah.
Cool. And I've funny when I was attempted to watch the animated stuff, I started with the movie, and everyone was like, "Mike, why did you do that?" So that's the extent of the animation I've seen. Well, but you get Baby Jabba in that. Very underrated.
Stinky. His name is Stinky. Okay.
And we got Murph in here talking about Marvel Comics and all that. And what else was Sato saying? We all totally make sense. That's why I brought this panel onto the board. Everyone always makes sense on this panel.
All right. Shall we number 9?
Yeah, let's go with number 9. Number 9.
9.
And Justin, start us off.
So yeah, right behind Chopper, had to go with Hera. Like I said, another Star Wars Rebels character, absolutely amazing, very strong with, again, female aspect. Star Wars has always been female led. She really takes the Phoenix Squadron and puts it on her back. The Ghost, flying it. She's a great fighter pilot. That's what I love about not being a Jedi, not being a Sith Lord, or any type of character who can deal with a lightsaber. She has as much power as like a Leia had in the original trilogy. She has as much, caress and charismatic as, Padme in both the Clone Wars and then in the prequel movies. But, she's definitely someone who I absolutely love. And then finally, when Mary Elizabeth Winstead got to play her in the Ahsoka show, was perfect. Got to see her live action. So again, Hera had to go right next to Chopper with me on that.
Yeah, I love that pick. It was so hard for me not to just be like, all right, like in my top 10, 6 of them are the Ghost Crew. Like, all right.
Exactly.
I like that you went Chopper, Hera. I loved it. Awesome picks. Couldn't agree more with you.
And yeah, you mentioned Mary Elizabeth Winstead. Phenomenal actress. Loved her in 10 Cloverfield Lane. Loved her as the Huntress, and I even loved that movie, Harley Quinn, and the Birds of Prey. So knowing her, and then when I heard she was going to be in the Star Wars universe, I couldn't wait, and I thought she did a great job.
Nice.
And then Chin.
I went with Asajj Ventress for my number 9 because, in my opinion, she's one of the most dangerously badass characters in Star Wars. Every time she pops up in the Clone Wars, even like the original like Clone Wars, like the I always pronounce his name wrong, but like, was it Tartakovsky? Same guy did like Samurai Jack and stuff, like the early Cartoon Network.
Yeah.
She's just awesome. She looks so cool. She does her double-bladed lightsabers. We got a nice tease of her coming up in a new season of Bad Batch, which I'm really excited for. She was just really awesome. Her storyline throughout the Clone Wars was amazing, where she's basically Dooku's apprentice and ends up becoming like a bounty hunter towards the end. So she's not very anti-hero-ish, but definitely leans more to the dark side, which is really cool. Her whole story with the Night Sisters on Dathomir, she's such a cool character. I want to see more of her. Dark Disciples book with her in it, if you haven't read it or listened to it on audiobook, I highly recommend it. There was a Star Wars Clone Wars episode that just never got made. They turned it into a novel. Finishes off her story along with another character. So I can't say enough cool things about this. And she just looks badass too. So that's my pick.
Cool. Chris?
Yeah, so far the picks you guys have made me realize I should definitely watch more of the series. But dude,
just wait.
Yeah.
Listen, Watto, like, why not, right? Like,
I laughed so hard at this pick when you sent this list. I was like, oh man, this is awesome.
Dude,
We
look,
got Watto on here.
I remember just when I first watched the the first movies of the prequels, and like seeing this guy and like going back to like it's the same thought as when I went back when they did the re-release, thinking like, man, this guy is such a dick, and I love him. Like, he's a gambler, he's no fool to Jedi mind tricks, and like this guy knows what he wants out of life.
Money.
And money. It's it. It's all he wants. He wants the money. And like in retrospect, like he was one of the first big blockage for like the chosen one to come into the world, right? Like for Anakin to come in, like Qui-Gon had to go through this whole thing, have him enter the pod racing, and just so he could take the kid and bring him to the Jedi Council. Like he was an important side character, but also he's just great and greedy, and I love him.
He's a try. I got a chance cube somewhere. I bought him from Galaxy's Edge. I don't know where it is. I wish I had it right now just to roll it for you.
You mentioned Galaxy's Edge, and then that's someplace I still need to check out because I've heard there's so much cool stuff there.
It's great. That is correct, Murph. That is very cool. Quinlan Voss, another amazing side character.
Before we go, didn't Chin or Chris, didn't one of you have a pretty good Watto impression from last episode?
Not me. Chris?
No, not me.
I could do many different impressions. Watto is not one of them.
So yeah, let's go to number 8.
Number 8.
I should go to mine. Jesus.
Yeah.
So yeah, I chose Greef Karga, Mandalorian from The Mandalorian, and it's kind of like with Peter Cushing. You know, a lot of the actor maybe had a little bit biased into it, but he did. Carl Weathers, RIP, did such a phenomenal job. When you're building a new show like Mandalorian, you got to have, as cool as The Mandalorian Din Djarin is, he needs a good supporting cast. Obviously, we had the child and Grogu, but one of the first side characters that we meet in that show is Greef, and I loved everything that he brought to that show, and was a great ally, and always loved when they teamed up. And then in the third season, he's pretty much like the head honcho there. So it was cool to see Carl Weathers in the Star Wars universe, and yeah, I thought it was an awesome. Played well with the Mandalorian character.
He says Mando's name, my favorite out of anybody. Just the Mando.
Mando.
That's so
I
good.
agree.
Yeah. I hope they like do like I know he's not going to be in the new season or movie or anything, but I'm hoping they have like a statue or some kind of like memorial to him in that town, like kind of how IG
yeah.
11's was. So I'm hoping they just have like an awesome like big statue of him. So
Awesome. If
yeah.
Gronk and Draft for FanDuel gave him a tribute, I'm sure Disney and Star Wars will.
It's very true.
Awesome.
All right. Pick
Now we
number
go to
8.
number 8. Yes.
There it is.
And Chin starts off. Oh,
This is our first repeat here with Chopper. I mean, I love the whole Ghost crew. I love them all, but I think Chopper is probably my favorite, and that's tough too because there's a lot of amazing droids in the universe. But something about his like, I don't give a fuck attitude. I'm gonna do what I want, and the way he's still on, he's still a good guy. Still does it for the right reasons, but he doesn't care. He'll kill someone. He'll kill whatever. He'll destroy ships full of thousands and millions of people. He doesn't care. He does the mission. He gets his hands dirty, and he's not afraid to give it back to you. He'll talk right. He'll yell at you. It's great. And the fact that he's voiced by Filoni, and he's one of the few droids. I've talked about this many times on many different podcasts, but one of my favorite types of humor in shows or in movies is when you can't understand what a character is saying, but other characters can. So you kind of have to fill in what they're saying. Like R2 and 3PO, the back and forth. I love it. But Chopper, the way they do his voice, you can almost kind of really make out exactly what he's saying. And it's great. I love it. Yeah. So I love Chopper. That's all I got.
Chris, this is one I'm not familiar with.
Yeah, this is Marin. She's from the Jedi Fallen Order series, the video games. Like I said, most of my introductions to a lot of these characters you're going to see on my list are from the video games, only because I played them recently, for the first time. And Marin is just now my list is getting serious. Like Marin is such a cool character. Like being the last Night Sister left on Dothmere, after she meets the main character in the series, Cal Kestis, she goes and ventures out to find her place in the galaxy, and she helps surviving Jedi Master Seer and Cordova rebuild the Jedi archives that have been destroyed through the Clone Wars. Like she goes on this whole journey, and like the fact that Star Wars, in my opinion, actually has like a decent love story within the games. Like her, as soon as the order was done, like Kestis believed that like there's no more rules to this. Like I don't have to follow the ways of the Jedi as close as I have to. So him and Marin actually like fall in love in the second game. And like there's a huge love story to this whole thing. And like he basically puts all of his like ideas of like the ideals of the Jedi through his love for her, which made him stronger at the end of it all. And I'm really excited what they do if they are going to make a third game out of it with their relationship. But she's just has a really cool character development, and she was just badass. Like she's a badass. Teaching like Kestis how to like kind of travel through things. It's kind of cool. Like phase through like objects and stuff. Like she's badass.
Yeah, that's a solid pick. That was a good one.
With my 8, I mentioned I love bad guys, and how do you not mention? Or for me, I had to. I had his figure growing up from the '90s line, Jabba the Hutt. We get introduced to him in a good scene interaction between him and Han in New Hope, and then we really get into the nuts and bolts. We talked about it kind of already in Jabba's palace, but in episode 6. And just the power that he has in that place. He has all the bounty hunters at his disposal. He has a Rancor, and just it's as a kid watching Jabba the Hutt, I was scared. Like I never wanted to be captured in Jabba's palace. And then we got to see a cool little. They brought the Hutts back into in the Boba Fett, which was cool. So the family was still alive to see that. The Hutts are still, a big deal. And I remember going back to Phantom Menace, you see the Hutts there. And then you even mentioned, when Watto tries to get out of the deal with, losing Anakin, Qui-Gon goes, well, let's see what the Hutts have to think about it. So even then, the Hutts are a big deal. And, kind of an awesome, because of Jabba's palace, an awesome first act in episode 6. So I had to put Jabba there.
I mean, you got to have the Star Wars Mafia in there.
Exactly. Justin.
I guess, it's tough. When you said side characters, I'm like, this is not really a side character, but it is.
He is. I love this pick.
No, yeah. I'm obviously, I don't know what everybody else's picks are, but obviously Darth Bane, someone who, if you don't know Darth Bane, creator of the Rule of Two, the only survivor after the Jedi and Sith War of like the Old Republic, literally in 7 comic books, Jedi vs. Sith 1 to 6, and then he shows up as a hologram, like holocrons in Star Wars Legacy, and then he's in the novels. He has his novel trilogy set, which is amazing as well. You get to learn more about Bane and how he basically wanted to create this Rule of Two, because at the time there was so many Siths and everybody wanted to rule everybody. So having just a master and apprentice is the best thing to have. He's a character that I really wish they would maybe do something with. Obviously this High Republic age, I don't know where he fits in. It would fit way far back, and they do talk about the upcoming movie where it's going to be kind of the beginning age of the Force. I would love to see something animated or just anything to bring in Darth Bane, and the fact that then he appears as this the armored seer version you get to see of him in Star Wars Clone Wars was just badass at the end with Yoda, and even Yoda, he says, "Oh, do you know who I am?" And he knows who Darth Bane is and why and what he did for the Sith. So, just a great character overall. So, first Sith character I had to throw on this list.
And the little scene he's got in Clone Wars, he's voiced by Mark Hamill, which is even cooler.
Yeah. And then there's the deleted scene that didn't make it with him and Revan. So,
yep, yeah, that very cool character, awesome pick. I would love to see. I'm hoping that like the Dawn of the Force movie does really well, and we eventually see Sith versus Mandalorians, and Jedi versus Mandalorians, and the Rule of Two. I would love to see that all play out on screen.
It's characters like that, and especially how you described it. It's like why I really do need to watch the animated shows, because that's everything. Nothing you said sounded turn me off about a character like that. So I really do need to get onto the animated stuff, because it's a bad guy. There's history that goes all the where it reaches in the whole universe. So that's definitely a character I'd love to see for the first time, and like what you guys said.
I love, I think it's, Mickey's Magic's comment with Matt, the radar technician. I thought about it, but technically we know he's just Kylo in disguise, and we can't put Kylo on the list. So he didn't make it.
Yes, I get that one.
Yeah.
And then you'll just have to see, guy.
No, I'm telling you right now, guy, he's not on there. I'm sorry, but his buddy Jabba is on there. Guy is a big fan of Salacious
I know
Crumb.
exactly not.
He's a big fan of Salacious Crumb.
And then Murph.
That's true. Sure. But Murph had a good comment with Wedge Antilles too. Wedge Antilles is the unsung hero, especially of the original trilogy. The man never misses a shot. He's, other than Luke, only pilot to survive everything. I love Wedge.
And before we go on to number 7, if there's anyone tuning in, we do have a giveaway. And there's the start line's infinity always going, so don't worry about that. So at the end of the show, Chin has an awesome Ahsoka cover and an autographed Star Wars card that he's going to give away to the first person who mentions a character. There's only one character on all 4 of our lists. So anyone who's just tuning in or wants to spread the word to throughout the masses, there is a giveaway at the end of the show tonight, and just list the character. And
we had some pretty good guesses earlier. We had Grogu, we had Jabba, we had Darth Maul. We had a bunch of good guesses. So, and
Chin's not going to say anything until we do reveal it at the end. So
you'll find out after you see this character 4 times. You'll find out. I'll say it then.
And so let's go to number 7. Awesome. And I believe it's Chris's turn.
Sure.
Start.
Yeah. I mean, Darth Maul. I was looking at my list and I realized I didn't put a single Sith or like any like not
guy.
not a stormtrooper, not like no bad guy. Which you could tell that I'm 100% just a Jedi and or a Mandalorian. I don't know. But yeah, Darth Maul for sure. I just growing up, I just loved his double-sided lightsaber. Like I have like
Who
no
doesn't?
like
Who doesn't?
right, yeah. But like I don't know. I actually did some more research before this list, and I now want to learn more about him, and hopefully in the future put him farther up my list. Because like I knew he was from Dothamir, right? Like I knew that he was like a very strong force wielder, which is why I think Darth Sidious kind of seeked him out in the first place to be his apprentice. But I had no idea that he was born of like the leader of the Night Sisters.
You gotta watch Clone Wars, man.
No idea. So I'm gonna have to. Because like he's the only Sith I really enjoy besides, Vader. Yeah, it's a hot take.
That hurts.
I'm sorry. Not really. But that's that. Oh, also the fact that he scared me, twice in Insidious 1 and in Insidious 3.
He does look just like that.
Oh my god, you're right.
I mean, when I chose a photo for him, I was like, I have to choose the double when you first see the double bladed.
Oh,
like
that's
it's
if we
the
ever
best moment.
If we ever did an iconic Star Wars moment list, you would think that would have to be on there. Just like
that
we'd never seen
Mine is
anything like
Duel
that.
of Fates. Absolutely. Yeah, couldn't agree more.
We do have a quick question, Chin. I'll let you answer that one.
Yes, the answer is yes. No matter who you put in there, the answer is yes.
Alrighty, and I guess we're going back to me, and I gotta go with one of the coolest guys in all of the Star Wars universe, Billy D. Williams, and what he did with the Lando character. It's when you're looking back when you saw Empire for the first time, it's I never got the sense that there was a trap. Granted, I was younger, but it's just like Han's friend. You get to find out more about the Falcon. That's my ship, and just his interactions. How he's cool, smooth with Leia, and then C-3PO loves him, but then he doesn't really care about C-3PO. So it's what Lando brought to Empire, and then you had the big, the betrayal, and then he gets the redemption in Episode 6, and just a big part that helped them win in the end in Episode 6. And then I have yet to see one of the only Star Wars movie that made it to theaters I never saw was Solo. So I have not seen Glover's portrayal of him, but I heard it was great. People want him to get his own. And wasn't that a rumor, or at least a show or a movie?
It is happening.
Yeah,
it's happening.
Oh, nice. That is happening. Awesome. So that'll be great because obviously great actor. It's tough to fill the shoes of Billy D. But I think Glover. Based on what I've heard and known the actor, I think he's going to do well. But yeah, just going back, I mentioned chemistry. Like the banter between him and Han again is just great, and how he ended up being a big player in the end of Episode 6. So yeah, I got Lando at my 7.
You old smoothie. Yeah, Lando. Man, Lando's such a cool character. I used the quote that when you first see him was like, "You got a lot of nerve showing your face around here." I use that line all the time. I love it.
Cool.
My number 7 was Yoda. I mean, he was like really close when we were thinking of like off limits characters. Like he was one of those characters that's just on the borderline there. But the fact that he did not go on the off limits list, I knew he had to be on my top 10. Ever since I was a kid, I mean, he's just this tiny little green dude, space wizard that just is so knowledgeable and stuff. In Episode 2, you finally get to see him do some backflips and fight, and he can back up the talk. He's such a cool character. I mean, everybody, very distinct in the way he talks, and that's kind of what everybody always remembers, the backwards talking. But he is such an amazing character. The fact that he's basically 900 years old when he does finally pass away at the end of or in the middle of Return of the Jedi. So we get to see him in the prequels. We get to see him as a Force ghost in the sequels. He's in the High Republic comics right now. So there's a lot more we can see with Yoda too, and he's just such a cool character. There's a reason he was, top of the Jedi Order, and I mean, how do you not put him on here? So, yep, that's my 7.
While we're on the topic of Yoda, I know it's like way early on, but we were talking about honorable mentions at some point. I will say, in one of my honorable mentions was Lego Yoda, specifically the one. There's a reason. Listen, there's a reason. Specifically because in the first Lego game that came out, that was the only Yoda that you were able to flip onto his like hover chair and just kind of like move around in his hover chair because his walking was so slow.
Mhm.
Just want to throw that out there that used to be a thing, and then they stopped doing it.
Lego Star Wars, the movies, the shows, and the games, some of the best humor I think I've ever seen in my life. It's so funny, it's so clever. So that's my 2 cents with Lego Star Wars.
I did see the Christmas special that Disney Plus put out.
was
That
so
was cute.
Yeah, so fun.
And then Justin.
So Chin, when you were talking, I didn't know if I was supposed to look below me or to the right where it said Chinmo across the screen.
What do you mean?
It says Chinmo and has a picture of you, and then you're below me and it says Chinmo. So I didn't.
Oh, funny. My ears aren't that. You know what? I got a big nose. I don't have big ears. So take that. I'm just gonna start talking like Yoda for the rest of this. Congratulations. Everybody's gonna get real annoyed real quick.
Glad you got that one. So yeah, I had to throw in Cal. Obviously, when we started talking, non-off-limit characters, Cal's a newer character. He's in an age of the Star Wars trilogy, Star Wars timeline that we don't get to see a lot of. So post Order 66, there's not many Jedi that survived, whether Masters, Knights, Padawans, non-Padawans. And his story is just so awesome. Chris was talking about Marin earlier. I had definitely had to throw in a video game character on here, and Cal definitely fits that bill. His story is great in Fallen Order. I've replayed Fallen Order at least 3 times. Survivor I've ran through once. I really want to run through it again when I have some downtime of not backlogged games. But he's just a great character who sees a lot that we don't get to see. We see what it takes to, just completely go away from the Force. It was something that, we get to see a little bit more in the Obi-Wan series. And then you have Cameron Monaghan playing the character similar to how Sam Witwer was Galen Marek in the old Force Unleashed games. Someone who is a true actor. Like, it is the actor who is playing this character. So like when you see him, you do see an actor. It's not them creating somebody like just off of CGI or cinematically. So I had to put him on this, and like Chris said, hopefully we'll see him again and finish off his trilogy story. Character again, he's someone who's portrayed by a live actor, so he could show up somewhere in live action, and it would be pretty awesome.
Do you think he pops up somewhere?
Oh, I would love to see him post Return of the Jedi, or obviously I know they haven't said anything about an Obi-Wan season 2, but that'd be cool just to see him.
That would be. Yeah, no,
I'd throw in Cal.
Yeah. I just love the fact that he gets so much more recognition though now just from the video games rather than his work from Shameless and like the Gotham series. Like the fact that people just love seeing him as a Jedi is super cool, and he loves it, especially when he does like all like the events and stuff, and like his whole thing with the Survivor game asking about the ponchos if they're going to be back into the game was just great.
Yeah, he was down in MegaCon last weekend or whatever, 2 weeks ago, and his line was pretty long. I wish I would have known. I don't think I prepared myself for all the Star Wars people, because I would have brought my Jedi Fallen Order game, and I would have had him sign like the game manual or like the disc would have been cool. So he'll be at another show, I'm sure, and that's what we'll go with that once that time.
That'd be a cool one. Yeah.
Yeah.
You gotta do a Star Wars Celebration, man. That's where it's at.
No, too expensive. Too much money I'd spend.
just not when it's in Tokyo. Wait till it's back in America. It's amazing. I've been to 3 of them. I will go to every one I can. It's great.
A fun comparison. Mark Hamill and Cameron Monaghan both were a Joker and a good guy in the Star Wars universe.
Yep.
And they put out a great commercial for the second
Yes.
Survivor game. If you haven't seen it, do yourself a favor and watch it. It's like a minute
Yes.
long. It's great.
And another very good point about Yoda for all the Office fans out there.
That's true.
Yeah.
All
All
right.
right, what are we on? Number 6?
Number 6, moving right along. I love it.
Halfway through, almost.
All right. So I believe it's Justin.
Yeah, I'll
Sure.
just speak quick on this.
Yeah.
Obviously, we've already seen Asajj. So kind of just to piggyback what Chinmo said, before, obviously great character. I feel like the reason why I threw her higher on this list as well, because of her storyline, her story arc throughout Clone Wars. Yes, she was introduced in the comics and in the cartoon, in that, the old school cartoon before the true Clone Wars animated series. But the reason why I loved her even more was because of Star Wars Legacy when they introduced Darth Talon. Like Darth Talon is a female Sith with dual lightsabers, and then you finally have this this animated version of this female who is powerful in the ways of the Force. Will go toe to toe with Count Dooku, doesn't care. Anakin, Obi-Wan, there's no fear, and she really doesn't ever show that. So it's a great character to have, and like Chinmo said, the novel expands her, and I'm excited to just see the different version of her in Bad Batch this season.
Yeah, well said. Yeah, I can't wait.
And then, Jin.
So I really liked when Justin sent me his list. I was like, wow, that lines up perfectly with my number 6 because I chose Quinlan Vos, who their story wise, he is a Jedi during the Clone Wars and stuff like that. He shows up in the Clone Wars cartoon. He's mentioned in episode 3 by name, and the fun fact about him, he's just a cool character. He's literally they literally took a random background character from episode 1 and created this whole character around him. So if you notice when Qui-Gon and Jar Jar and Padme and stuff are going through Mos Eisley, when Jar Jar eats the frog thing, and there's like a whole thing with Sebulba, in the background, there's a guy sitting at a table with a yellow line across his eye, and that's Quinlan Vos.
Huh.
And they turn him into this awesome Jedi, gets a name drop in episode 3, gets name dropped in the Kenobi series. But he's just a really cool Jedi. He leans very much what everybody always refers to as like a gray Jedi kind of thing. Very kind of Qui-Gon, where he pushes the limits quite a bit. And then in the Dark Disciple novel, him and Asajj, it's a love story kind of thing. It's pretty cool. It's awesome. He's just a really cool character. They go very, very well together. It's very cool. He's one of my favorite Jedi. So I had to throw him in this list.
Yeah, it sucks. What's he in one episode of Clone Wars?
It's 1 or 2. He's had an awesome fight with Cad Bane, though.
Yeah, that's the only one I can think of.
Yeah. And he's
Shocked
mentioned
that
a couple
we
of
didn't see him in Bad Batch. I would have figured he's someone who would have showed up.
right. I mean, who knows? Maybe Asajj is popping up in season 3. Who knows? But yeah, he's got that novel. He pops up and he's mentioned a handful of times. But it's more a character I'd like to see more of just because of how cool he is.
Mhm.
So
And Chris.
Yeah, won't say much that you've already said about Lando. He was actually he was a toss between my 7 and 6. But he definitely had to go up there, one of the OGs. Just, the best friend you could ask for, turn your best friend in.
get one of the best friends you can ask for.
Yeah, no, there's not much I could say else about Lando that you have already said before.
And to that point, Mickey's Magic mentioning how a lot of the bad characters, do show end up having some humility, and that's what Star Wars, has always done a really good job with a lot of their bad guys, or are they really bad guys?
It's a great storytelling.
Character arcs. And then for me, my 6, we've talked about droids. My only, spoiler, but my only droid on the list, K2SO. I wanted to include a droid, and for me, it's between him and BB-8. Love BB-8, incredible. Have the Funko Pop, love it. I love the lighter scene. But with K2SO, Rogue One that's been my favorite Disney movie, Disney Star Wars movie. And that cast of characters, and I also went between like I had to throw one of those characters into this list. I had, we'll talk about my honorable mentions, but what K2SO, just the banter, and that's Alec Tudyk, right? I'm pronouncing that right?
Alan Tudyk, yeah.
Yeah. He great choice. I know he's done a lot within a lot of the fandom community with other things that are with what we love. But I thought the what really put him on the list for me is how his final moments go. He's holding off the Death Troopers and allowing them to escape, and just his ultimate sacrifice was awesome scene, awesome moment. And once again, he had the sense of humor with him as well. So I had to throw K2SO on here.
He was very, very close to making my list. He's such Alan Tudyk, when what he does with that character, it's the humor, it's so well done. So yeah, I agree. Great pick. Get the medical droid on the list.
Yeah, Murph wants the medical droid.
I'm not gonna lie to you. When I was making this list, I was so tempted to just do such obscure characters, such as like the medical droid and stuff like that. Everybody be like, "What the hell is this?"
I was gonna put Jabba's torture droid on there.
EV9
or the gunk droids was cool. Just actually number one, I would have been gunk. Like I would have just been like,
oh, that would have been so good. Just he's a big battery, just walking around.
Yeah, whatever.
That's fantastic. All right, we're halfway through.
I love it.
Number 5.
Cool. I'll start this one off. Mace Windu. What can you say? I've talked about how the casting might have a little bias in some of these, but this guy's been, in so many different other franchises. But the character Mace Windu, played by Samuel L. Jackson, you're just he doesn't do much other than speak in episode 1 where we first see him. Just his delivery with the character, you're just glued to every time he opens his mouth. Him and Yoda being those two high members on the council, and then their interactions, their conversations with Qui-Gon when he's trying to get Anakin onto the council. All that is great. But we know he's a Jedi. We know he has a lightsaber. We got to see Samuel L. Jackson fight. So, more of what I just said about him in episode 1, we see in episode 2, and then we get the awesome the battle scene in the Coliseum. We see the purple lightsaber that nobody saw coming, and he offs Jango Fett really easily, and seeing him and Obi-Wan going back and forth fighting in there as well. And then episode 3, one of the deaths that hit me the most, because it was because of Anakin. Let the Emperor get the upper hand there, and it's Samuel L. Jackson. So that's all I gotta say about Mace Windu.
I just love that he has a purple lightsaber because he asked George Lucas because he wanted to be able to find himself in the giant battle scenes. Oh, there I am, right there. Like, that's so cool. The fact he's like, give me something different. I want a purple one. Apparently, he has like the original, and on the side of it, it says "badass motherfucker." That's pretty cool.
All right.
I went with another person with an amazing lightsaber, Darth Maul. How can you not have him on your list? He's the coolest Sith. He looks the coolest. His lightsaber, granted, the double bladed doesn't stick around past episode 2. So, it kind of does a little bit, pops up a little bit in Clone Wars. But they expand on him more in the Clone Wars. Such an amazing character, such a cool backstory. He looks just badass. And we've already talked about him a bunch, and he's my favorite Sith. I love Darth Maul. So there we go.
Cool. Justin, awesome pick.
Yeah, man, I had to go Bo-Katan, Kryze, obviously, of Kryze clan, the Wolf group. First character ever to voice in animation to live action ever. Shows up in maybe 7 or 8 episodes in Clone Wars. Then we get to see her again in Star Wars Rebels, and then makes that that jump to live action, which was just all inspiring. Like, we knew, I knew, and other people knew that Ahsoka was coming season 2. Did not see Bo-Katan coming live action, and when she shows up with her group in Mandalorian season 2, I was just like blown away. Great character, obviously great story arc from everything, pre-purge to the after the purge to Night of a Thousand Tears. Obviously, Sister was in the political game, dead. So, and it's just great to see someone who is a Mandalorian who kind of rose up from nothing, right? Yes, we have Jango and Boba, but are they true Mandalorians?
Yes.
Din Djarin, it's like, but yeah, I like the whole idea of Bo being a character that we've seen a lot of growth from her throughout the series, throughout many series.
She is very much like not our first, but like our deep dive into like actual Mandalorian culture, especially throughout the ages of like her timeline. Such an awesome pick, such an awesome character. And you're right, when she shows up in Mando and then she just takes her helmet off, you're like, oh, it's Katie Sackhoff. This is amazing. This is great.
Yeah, and Katie's great live action as a person to speak with. Like, I met her in Philly last year. Totally awesome to talk to as well. So
awesome.
Loved playing the character, and even she's got a podcast I watch and stuff like that, and she's pretty badass.
She just had Sam Witwer on.
What?
She had Sam Witwer on it a couple.
Oh
weeks ago.
yeah.
Yeah.
So you said she was on ours. I was like, what?
Oh, you didn't hear it? Next week. She's going to be on next week. Yeah. Katie, if you're listening, you're welcome. You're more than welcome to join.
And then Chris.
Yeah. My number 5 is BD1. I think he is one of the most like tactile droids that the most useful droids for any Jedi. He's literally just like a med kit on your back, right? Like the amount of particle cells that he could carry is insane. Like the amount of things that he could like do, like open doors, fix things, whatever. Like, he's just a very useful droid. Also, he's cute. He's tiny. You just fit on your back, and I've always wanted that. It's like a little droid just chilling. Me to check up on, be like, hey, how you doing? Good, great, awesome.
Sure. I love his design too. The fact that Star Wars keeps coming out with these like different designs for droids and still making them appropriately useful and like work in the world, it's great. And
Dude,
he's an awesome addition.
He's a zipline man, and I freaking love that.
It's true. Very
Yeah.
true.
Kind of to piggyback on what Shinmo said a long time ago regarding Chopper, he's like another character that when Hal's talking to him, you almost feel like what they're talking, like what he's saying.
Yeah.
And that's one thing that's great. He would definitely have been on my list too if I would have thought more droids. But yeah, BD1 is cool. Very again, mobile character. The fact that he's can just kind of perch up on your shoulder like a pet or something. Which
I
is cool.
love Murph's comment. He does look like a Viewmaster.
Yeah, 100%.
Babu Frick,
Ooh.
solid choice. He's one of 3PO's oldest friends.
Mine was the hardest I've laughed at like in a good way, just like every time he's on the screen. That's some of the hardest I've laughed.
It's the combination of the voice with like the situation. It works really well. Yeah. All right,
Cool.
number 4.
Chin, start us off.
Yeah, I had to pick my favorite Jedi of all time, Kit Fisto. He's so cool. I love him. Granted, yes, we don't see a ton of him in the movies. You see him a little bit in episode 2, a little bit in episode 3. His goofy grin. I was gonna make that the picture as he has in episode 2 with his just ginormous smile, which they reference again actually in the Clone Wars. Service with a smile, which I thought was always good. They do expand on him a bunch more in Clone Wars. He's got a Padawan. The underwater episodes when he's breathing underwater with the save. It's just it's one of those things like, yeah, you don't know a lot about him, but he looks cool. Originally, he was actually designed to be a Sith. It was like an unused Sith concept design, and then they ended up just making him a Jedi in episode 2. But he's such a cool character, such a cool species. And I've just always liked Kit Fisto. I just thought he's one of the coolest characters. So yeah, that's my number 4 pick.
He's the one that beheads the battle droid.
Yes, he
3PO, right?
Yeah, he helps 3PO get the head back, and that's when he does the crazy smile. Yeah.
I just love his design too.
Right? It does a big part of it. It just looks
Yeah.
awesome. Granted, it changes like a little bit. Between episode 2 and 3, they reworked the design a tiny bit, but he looks
Mhm.
so cool. Phil Lamar voices him in the Clone Wars
Does he
cartoon.
really? Oh, I love
Yeah,
that.
Never
it's
knew that.
awesome.
One
Phil
of the
Lamar
best
actually
voice
voices a
actors.
couple
Oh.
people. Actually, I think he voices Quinlan Voss too.
Huh.
But he it's just really, really awesome. He's got an amazing episode with Grievous in the Clone Wars. That's a really fun one.
That's a big Terrificon regret. And I think he's been there twice, and I never got Phil Lamar.
Phil Lamar.
Hopefully, there's another. I'm sure. I know he likes the con circuit.
He does a lot of cons.
Chris, how about you go?
Yeah, sure, dude. My number 4 is Saw Gerrera. Loved seeing him go from the video games to the live action in Rogue One. And I picked him because he's like definitely the most important side character in like the whole Star Wars universe. Like he was a front runner in like the drawing a blank here. Fighting in the fight against the Empire, like for all of his work he did on Kashyyyk, and then like to gain the information or help gain information about Death Star being, all the blueprints and plans for that. Like he was so important, so important. And also he's so freaking awesome. I have no words for this guy. Like I don't like. He's just so. He's just good at his job. The fact that he
He's an
also built
extremist.
a huge extremist. But like the fact that he also what he developed, what they're called, the what am I blanking on the his
Rebellion?
name? Stone no. He got his nickname, Stoneface. Because of he got for his torture tactics. Against the Empire, like they started calling him Stoneface. Just it's a badass nickname to get for a badass guy.
It's true. The fact that he first appeared in the Clone Wars as like this 2 or 3 episode arc character, and then they grow him and he becomes what Chris said, a very important part of like growing the rebellion and the whole fight against the Empire. And then you get an Oscar winner to play him in live action. He's in video games, he's in Rebels, he's a great character.
Yeah, you need that one extremist. That's what it basically is in the Star Wars universe.
It's a good way to put it. Him and 2 tubes holding it down.
And then Justin.
Rex.
Love this.
Probably the most loyal Star Wars character, I'd say, in all of lore, right? Like without a doubt, if it wasn't for him, you wouldn't have Anakin as great as he was. You wouldn't have Ahsoka as great as she was. The clones, obviously, as a leader, he's amazing. Just his story is so good, and the fact that we don't get him until Clone Wars, and just every episode that he's in is just unbelievably great. You see him again in Rebels, he reappears, and the Bad Batch he's in now. He's just such an amazing character that I don't think gets enough play. Obviously, there's other clones that I wanted to kind of even put on this list, but hands down, obviously, the best clone of there, out there.
Could not agree more. We got a tease of him live action in Ahsoka. I want more. I'm just waiting for my beard to go gray, so white, so I can just do the Rex cosplay.
Dye it, man. Just dye it for like
it's gonna happen. I'll get the shoulder pads and the helmet. I'm just waiting for the Rex, the Rex cosplay to happen.
There you go.
Awesome pick though.
Yeah. And then I decided to just go last year because you guys, he's been mentioned before. I love the bad guys, love the Sith, love the design, the double-edged lightsaber, the Duel of the Fates, awesome scene. I know there's iconic stuff in the animated stuff, and Darth Maul.
All right, top 3. Are we ready? Here we go.
All righty. Chin, start us off.
It's a character we haven't talked about recently. No, Rex. Rex is my number 3. Justin just basically said it all. He's such an amazing character. If you Dave Filoni even says the Clone Wars, the show is about Ahsoka and Rex, and I don't think he gets enough credit. I want to see more of him. I hope we see him in live action. Will we see him like? I mean, yeah, we get a little bit of him in Ahsoka. Will we see him in season 2? I sure as hell hope so. He's a much older clone, so chances are they might do something with him. But I get it. But I'm excited to see him in Bad Batch season 3. It's so crazy that they were able to kind of like Justin said. There's so many amazing clones, and the fact that they're all the clones are supposed to be like identical, the same. They do such a good job of giving them all personalities. D. Bradley Baker, I don't know how that man does what he does, but he voices every single one of them, and he does it all differently. But top of the line is Rex. I can't say enough about him. He's one of my all-time favorite Star Wars characters. If this was even just a top 10 characters in general, he would still probably be at my number 3.
Oh, that's nice. And Chris, you want to bring us some more Bo-Katan goodness?
Yeah, sure. I mean, number 3, Bo-Katan. Can't say much that's already been said. The only thing I really enjoyed, which was a defining moment, I thought, for her character, really was just the moment with Djarin when she had to give up the Darksaber. Like, she fought so hard to get this thing back, to like reclaim her like self. Like, no, I get this. I'm the Mandalorian again, right? Like, but the fact that she's like, no, I've kind of grown away from that. I've created my own version of what I think it is to be a Mandalorian. And giving the Darksaber back off to Djarin was like such a defining moment for her character. And I think it really closed that door for her to like really, now she's like, I'm starting anew. Then it was season 3, but yeah, there's not much I could say about Bo-Katan. It was tough between her and my number 2. I really wanted to put her at number 2, but I think my number 2 deserved the slot for sure. So she had to be a number 3.
We'll be the judge of that, Chris.
That's fair. That's fair. Listen, I'm not. I love Star Wars, but I don't have the knowledge as you guys do. I'm just a fan.
And then I had I've been saying it all show, the bad guys. Christopher Lee. What put him ahead for Maul for me, I think, because what you get, and at least with my knowledge just through the movies. Not only do we get another cool, different lightsaber design, it's got the curved handle, and just going back to him and Peter Cushing have ties. Going back to the once again the Hammer horror films. Cushing was Van Helsing to Christopher Lee's Dracula. My little nerd nugget there. But Christopher Lee just in episode 2, just in my opinion, just acts the crap out of that character. Just the dialogue between him and Kenobi when he has him, as his prisoner, and you get all that Star Wars lore, and then even before that, where Obi-Wan's doing research in the temple, and you find out about
Diaz.
Exactly, and it's just, and then once again you have the Coliseum and the fight in episode 2, but then you also have awesome battles not only with Dooku and Anakin and Obi-Wan, and he manhandles them both. Him and Yoda go at it, and it was just like I remember like getting out of my seat during those in the theater watching those lightsaber scenes and those fights. And Christopher Lee, unfortunately, awesome. He had an awesome facial expression when Palpatine says, "Do it." When Anakin has the before he beheads him, and I was like, "What the hell?" So
you know what? He stays loyal to the end. He could have just been like, "Hey, he's the bad guy you're looking for," really quick.
Yeah, exactly.
He stays loyal. He doesn't get enough credit as Christopher Lee kills it when he acts in anything. He's amazing in this. In the Clone Wars, you get more fleshed out as a character, a little bit more of his backstory. He's a diplomat, he's like kind of royalty. The thing that gets me, and actually I think I've seen memes about this too, he's got arguably the coolest Sith name, and they only use it once. Darth Tyrannus. Like, you kidding me? What a badass name. Mm-hmm. And he's such a cool, stoic character. Yeah, great pick, Mike.
Thank you. And then I remember I didn't watch it, but one of the animated things Disney Plus put out. Wasn't there a special on like not a special, but wasn't there like a theme
Yeah.
or an episode?
Tales
Tales
of
of
the
the
Jedi.
Jedi. Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I want to jump in real quick.
Sure, yeah, please.
I love I love that Chin and I are such huge fans, and you and Chris are like so like virgin-y vanilla that it makes like listening to you guys like and you know like because both Chin and I are like, oh my god, you need to see this. Like, and when you don't speak about like the other stuff that expands these characters is just it's such like a refreshing thing because
Mhm.
I'm no longer like that, right? Like, Chin, you get that too, right?
Oh yeah.
No,
Yeah.
and I'm not making fun of you
Oh,
at all,
no,
Mike and
no.
Chris. It's so weird. And when we have people like on the podcast that are very new in comic collecting and reading, and they don't know like the lore and the history of all this stuff. It's just it's like I wish I could go back to that. Like the first time you saw like the trailer and before you knew anything, like episode 1, and even like you're talking about Count Dooku, like Tales of the Jedi like opens up such a world.
Yeah.
And you're like, I really like Dooku. Like
Yep.
there's just so much that you really need to just watch that. Like even if you don't watch Clone Wars, like you can watch Tales of the Jedi and then just watch him in episode just in the movies. And you're just like, he's such a tortured character. So
It makes me so happy what like you were just talking about, like the fact that you guys haven't seen all this other stuff with these characters. It makes me so happy that you guys get to go through and eventually like watch it and be like, oh my god, they were right. This is such like it expands so much more. I love these characters even more now. It makes me happy for you guys.
And then
Yeah.
I remember you talking about that episode on the Comic Con podcast, and I was like, there's more Dooku stuff. I need to take that into my eye holes because
Those are pretty quick watches too. They go pretty quick. They're
Yeah.
short episodes.
Yeah,
I
literally
will
after
say,
we're-
Mike.
we're-
Oh, sorry.
Sorry,
Chris.
no, you're good. I was going to say, literally after we're done with this, I'm going to throw on the Clone Wars and right before I go to bed and watch a couple episodes.
Now you're talking. I will say, Mike, the one thing that disappoints me about that's very true. Mickey's Magic. There's a lot, but it's all fantastic and I love it. It's great. The one thing that disappoints me about this pick is he doesn't have a helmet. What were you thinking? I mean, come on.
I mean, you wouldn't be able to hear his. Oh, I see what you did there.
I can't
See-
believe that's pretty good though.
Yeah.
We're all 3 out of
Yeah.
4.
When I was putting the pictures in, I was like, oh wow. I was like, damn it, Mike, come on.
So yeah, we'll jump in for my 3.
Speaking
So
of
of course,
helmets.
yeah, Sabine, another helmeted character, another Mandalorian, the firecracker of Phoenix Squadron. She was just I was immediately drawn to her, first on-screen performance of her, like just animated style, like just such a cool character, young teenage Mandalorian, badass. She holds her own. She has her own issues, her own story arc. Obviously, this was one of my huge things for like live action Ahsoka. Like, who's gonna play her? Like, how's she gonna be? How do I feel about the live action? It is what it is. It's the Star Wars universe. Anything can be created. Anybody can be anybody. But yeah, Sabine in my top 3 had to be there. I just love her storyline throughout the entire Star Wars Rebels seasons. She's someone who has the potential to be a leader, and we really seen it? I don't know, but she kind of plays that middle ground, and she's the perfect supporting character to everybody that is in Star Wars Rebels and the Ahsoka show.
Awesome. That very well said. Well done. Yeah, I have nothing to add to that. That was perfect.
Yeah, just my knowledge through Ahsoka, and I love the character, and yeah, can't wait to see where she goes. Chin, before we go to 2, because just to talk about the giveaway again, because we're getting close.
I'm going to tell you right now, someone has won the giveaway. You're going to find out very soon who, but we'll talk about it next slide. Let's talk about it next
I
slide.
don't even
Someone's
know
won.
my number 2. I love this. I don't even know my own list. I swear.
Someone has won because we're about to find out who all of us have picked. So here we go. Number 2. And if you have not seen it yet, the one that has made all of our list is the pointed horned Sith himself, Darth Maul. Is the only character to make all of our lists.
And but Nemesis, why don't you start us off?
All right, now I know who my number 1 is. I thought this was my number 1. Damn it.
Your number
All right.
one's up. They could have went either way.
Yeah, okay. So I have to expand a lot more on what you you gentlemen said of Maul, obviously.
This is why I was so quiet, just because I knew we were going to talk about him so much. I was like, I'm not going to add too much.
The greatest supporting character in Star Wars universe, hands down. I don't know why. Obviously, my number one is completely different, and I love this list because everybody's a little different. But hands down, the best supporting character in Star Wars universe, the person who is he wants to do so much, gets so close, but just falls flat. Constantly is just drawn back for all the things that he's done. So much hard work to be beaten down, to come back. Again, that the whole Dathomir thing, really get a little bit more expansion on the Clone Wars. Just so much stuff, so much that Dave Filoni fleshed out in the Clone Wars. A character that we get to see in Rebels, we get to see one more time in live action and Solo. Just there's so much of a character development that I don't think there is no other character in the Star Wars universe. And I don't think anybody's list who could put him again. I don't know why he's not at number one. And now I realize who my number one is, but I mean, Shin, agree with me, right? Best.
No, I agree. When he first shows up in episode 1, he looks awesome. He looks so cool.
Everybody wants to be him. I had the Hasbro 2 lightsaber. I bought that shit, whatever.
Like anytime I started playing lightsabers with anybody, I was like, I need some duct tape and I need 2 of them right now. Like, let's do this. But yeah, then they expand on his character so much more throughout the Clone Wars into Rebels, and it's like it is one of those things. He keeps trying to do all these things and it keeps failing. I heard him compared
comics, we don't really talk about the comics too much, but yeah, there's so much
crazy stuff with him in the comics.
His miniseries, awesome. Son of Dathomir miniseries, the Darth Maul Dark Horse stuff, the Marvel stuff. He's such a great character.
Him with like when he like basically takes over Mandalore kind of stuff. Like he has the Darksaber for a long time. Like no one ever really talks about that anymore.
So much.
Like he's such a cool character. Yes, he looks awesome. Even becomes kind of cooler when he's got robotic legs. But he is so fleshed out and such. It's I don't want to say we're not going to see more of him because they can easily put him in other spots where they tell different stories and everything. But there's a reason he made all 5 of our list.
Oh yeah. Again, we could still see him in Bad Batch. Shit, he could still. Could he show up in the third? Well, depending on the timeline, I guess, right? For the third Jedi Fallen Order.
He could, depending on when that takes place. He could honestly even show up in Obi-Wan season 2.
Yeah, he could show up there.
Depending on when they do that, if they do that. Well, actually, maybe not the way they do it, but still, there's still plenty of places for him to show up.
If they do the world between now, could he show in the world between worlds?
I don't think he's a character that would ever get there, kind of thing. But I mean, again, that is a thing like where time is different and stuff. You could definitely see him at some point, like through a portal or something. But yeah, there's a reason he's on all of our lists.
And then how about Chris and then Chinmo? I'll be right back, but you guys could go.
Mike has to go pee, everybody.
No comment.
Gotta charge his phone.
Yeah. Sure. I mean, I guess I'll go because I'll be quick. Since we've already talked about Mace Windu a couple of times, you see why I had to put him up above Bo-Katan. Like, I had to. Like, I just thought he had a lot of good moments in his time during the prequel series. I also just love the fact that he kind of bested the Dark Lord like he on his own.
He does beat him, yeah.
If only Anakin didn't turn at that exact moment in time. Like that was kind of like the changing point, right? Like he was unsure throughout most of the third trilogy of like where he was really going to go, but then right that moment, as soon as he slices off his hands, like that was the defining factor. Like, okay, he's a Sith Lord now. Like,
not only did Mace Windu go out that window, but so did Anakin Skywalker.
Yeah, exactly.
And Darth Vader.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I just you you mentioned earlier, Jim, like the fact that he was able to get his own colored lightsaber just by asking is so badass.
That's
I
just Sam
love,
Jackson in general.
I just love hearing that story of his. I did not know that it had the engraved badass on it.
Yeah, he talks about, I forget what, he's on one of the talk shows or something, and someone's got lightsabers out, and he's like, "Yeah, I got my original one. It says badass motherfucker right on it."
I love that. I just love that. But yeah, that he's my number 2. I got nothing else to say.
Solid. Nice.
And Benson's back.
It was a quick pee. My number 2 is Hondo. I can't highlight the comments, but I love that Mickey's Magic knows who this is and is excited about it because that's fantastic. Also, Mickey's Magic, you did win the giveaway because you guessed Darth Maul. Hit me up on Instagram, Dave Chinmo, or I think you might know Mike. So just ask Mike, and I'll either just give this to Mike or I'll mail this out to you. But you won the card and comic. Congratulations!
Thanks for tuning in too. I really appreciate it.
Get those to you. But yeah, my number 2, Hondo Ohnaka. What can I say about this guy? I love him. He's that kind of character. He's a pirate. He's kind of, he's kind of like a low life when you first meet him. You meet him in Clone Wars. I'll say it right now, he beats Anakin Skywalker in a fight, which is pretty badass. But yeah, he comes back in Rebels, and he is he's one of those characters that he does good things, but he also does bad things. He's very, he's not good or bad, but he leans a little bit more to the good side where he's going to help out and, do some things for, Ezra and stuff like that. So it's just, he's such a fun character. He's funny. He's got a great sense of humor, voiced by Jim Cummings, Pooh Bear and a bunch of other amazing voices. But he, if you ever been to Galaxy's Edge, I'm glad that they put him in there as like a kind of main character in that story, which is cool. See a little bit more of him. So we know he's around post episode, 8, 7, 8. So I'm hoping we see even more of him. I'm hoping he shows up in Ahsoka season 2 or a Skeleton Crew show live action. But he's such a fun character. He's funny. He always ends up, he's one of those characters that it's almost like a Jack Sparrow or a Mr. Magoo kind of thing, where he's always in these crazy situations, but somehow he ends up okay at the end of it. And it's just really fun to me, and I love it. Do yourselves a favor, watch Clone Wars and Rebels with him, because every episode he's in, he steals the show. And they're always some of the best episodes. They're so entertaining. He's hilarious. And he's always kind of those guys with like, hey, I got this get rich quick scheme. Let's see if it works out this time. And it's super fun. He's got some very very heartful moments too, especially in Rebels with Ezra and stuff. So I'm hoping to see that translated live action. But yeah, I love Hondo. I met Jim Cummings. I got him to sign a photo for me and stuff of Hondo, and it's a character I want to see more of. So that's why he's my number 2.
Cool. And then I went with one of the most iconic, one of the first toys I remember having as a kid. It's Boba Fett, and everyone always talks about it, but it's just like a character in the original trilogy with so little screen time, very little dialogue, compared to a lot of the other.
He is the character that also talks back to Darth Vader and gets away with it.
That's right. No disintegrations this time.
Damn right.
So just as a kid, and I still am, I mention this all the time in my videos. I love iconic costumes, different costumes. What separates people, from other characters, growing up, how does that costume not draw you? The helmet, and now, as we've gone to learn, the lore of Mandalore, but just you see, and even in episode 4, New Hope, you have that quick moment after Han and Jabba talk, and it's just like, who is this guy? He's cool. So then you finally get to see him in Empire, and then you get to see him in action, and a lot of action in episode 6, Return of the Jedi. Just everything in Jabba's palace. Then you have on the Jabba's barge there, and unfortunately at the time, we're like, oh no, that's it for Boba. but it's just from Han Solo just always in Boba Fett, Boba Fett, Boba Fett, and then that whole sequence is just bonkers. But love the character. And then I was a fan of Boba Fett. I know that's might be a hot take, but it wasn't what I thought I was getting. But with what we got, and I know Mandalorian, 2.5. Love seeing him and Mandalorian together. Tamara Morrison, also a phenomenal actor. So I liked what we got with Boba Fett. It's probably middle of the road if I was to rank like all the Star Wars shows, and what Disney's done. But I liked especially him and the Tusken Raiders, and when where he went from being with them, and then I love the story it brought us on, and yeah, Boba Fett. I have a feeling we're going to be talking about him again very soon, but yeah, Boba Fett, just iconic character.
What makes you think that, Mike?
I have a hunch.
All right, number 1 picks. Here we go. It's what we've been leading up to. There we are. Love the picks all around. Who's starting us?
I gotta go first. Let me go
Yeah,
first. Let me do this. 'cause
Yeah,
this
please. I was about to say that's a cool freaking picture.
Yeah.
Okay. So
I
go ahead.
fucking love this pick.
So I'm a gamer by trade and by life, and other than playing like the Jedi Forces, like Kyle Katarn, like that would have been my really choice. But it's close to me. That was close. Darth Revan, playing Knights of the Old Republic, and learning about and I'm sure you're going to agree with me. He is probably the most greatest Jedi of all. Like people don't know about.
Yeah.
They say he's more powerful than Anakin and everybody that's come before him and after him. But yeah, Darth Revan is just an amazing character. Revan or Darth Revan, however you want to say, part of the Old Republic, Knights of the Old Republic line as well. So when you're introduced to this character, he's the exile at the time, and you learn throughout the game that Darth Revan was a Sith Lord, and he somehow lost his memory. But he was originally part of the Jedi Order. He had his own army, similar to like how Anakin has like his clone squad, and then gets all his memories back, finds out that him and Darth Malak again were both friends, and again they were also master and apprentice. And then there's more expansion throughout in the Star Wars The Old Republic PC game that flushes out more of his storyline. There's the comic books a little bit, and then there's the novel with Darth Revan himself. And he is just an amazing character that people don't give him enough love. And I have been truly, truly waiting for the Knights of the Old Republic remake, which they teased maybe 2 years ago, and then it kind of got put on halt. Yeah. So one of the greatest Jedi Sith, without a doubt, for both, for creating someone in a video game and having so much support throughout, I don't know, 20 years now, I would say. Like the game
what,
came
2001 it came out?
Yeah,
I
like
think.
super early, and right on the Xbox 360, the
2003
original
maybe?
Xbox.
Yeah, early 2000s.
Yeah, like there's no other character in, I would say, most medias that has such a great following, especially definitely in Star Wars. Like Cal has that bringing up, but I mean, people love Darth Revan.
If you ask any like Star Wars fan or any like convention, they're like, "Hey, what's a character you want to see live action?" I guarantee you, Revan is top of the list every single time, and rightfully so. He's such a cool character. Will Keanu Reeves play him? Who knows? We don't know.
Yeah, I've always seen those, but
yeah, when you sent me your list, I was just like, "Oh yeah, I'm happy he's on here because he is. It's such a cool character." I hope. I mean, it's one of those things like, yeah, the game like is like a big twist reveal and stuff. But
spoiler alert, but
yeah, I mean, you're right, yeah. But
it's 20 years. You had to have played this. If you have, obviously, it's
yeah. There's a limit, but it's one of those things you could easily still do that live action, and it would, if done right, it will still hit just as hard as it did in the game. But yeah, I agree with you. I want to see more of him.
There's so much. There's so much before, so much after.
Stuff. Yeah. Awesome pick.
Chin, why don't you follow up Hitchhike from the last slide?
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and talk about Boba Fett again because ever since I was a kid, it definitely started out with like, this guy looks awesome. And he does. He looks so cool between the helmet. I love his rifle. He's got a jetpack. I mean, who didn't want a jetpack when they were younger just to fly around and stuff?
Gotta get
Like
me
I
one
said,
of those.
right. I always lean to, I like the bounty hunters kind of thing. He's always kind of portrayed more as like a bad guy and stuff, which is cool. You know, he's the one that hunts down Han Solo. He talks back to Vader like he's still worth a lot to me alive. Like, you know, and he's the guy that gets the job done. Does he, like you said, episode 6 goes out, you know, gets hit in the back, but he doesn't actually go out. He comes back. Even George Lucas said he regretted doing that because how popular he was, which I thought was funny. But yeah, then we get him back. We see a little bit more. We see the younger version of him in Attack of the Clones.
That's right.
You know, you get the origin story, which, you know, whether you like it or not, he's a clone, and he's, you know, you get more of him in the Clone Wars cartoon, some awesome episodes with him. And then, yeah, he gets the Book of Boba Fett, which I know a lot of people didn't enjoy. I did. I get what they're doing. I understand they're going that way with the character. I personally want to see more of how Boba was in Mando season 2 when he actually does return, and the way he's just viciously taking out those stormtroopers and stuff.
True.
It felt good when that
Yeah.
aired. For me as a Boba Fett fan of all these years, not have to defend Boba Fett anymore. I'm like, that's him. He's fucking back, baby. Like, yeah. So I'm hoping the fact now that he's kind of like the crime lord. So I'm hoping they like see a little bit more of like, yeah, he's still got it kind of thing. I mean, fights Cad Bane, takes out Cad Bane, which is, you know, no easy feat.
Mickey, thanks for tuning in. Once again, congratulations. Boba Fett, I just want to add a quick question. This could be a whole nother video, but there's a theory that going back to when he talks back to Vader, Vader says, no disintegrations this time. Do you guys, have you seen
I know where you're going with, and no, he didn't kill Aunt Peru and Uncle Owen.
That was worth bringing up.
It's in a book. It's in a book.
Gotcha.
It's not him.
Gotcha.
It's a solid theory, though. I do like that fan theory.
Yeah, so I just thought it was fun, and I also love the shot of young Boba and Attack of the Clones. It's like kind of almost like a silhouette of almost foreshadowing his father's helmet, and he picks it up. He's like crouched down. Another cool.
I got a picture signed by Daniel Logan of that exact scene.
Oh, that's awesome.
Rhode Island Comic-Con this past year.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
How about, so I went with, you know, we mentioned him earlier, Yoda.
You have to do it in the voice. Do it in the voice.
I'm not going to mess it up this time too.
Or is he going to do it?
Do or do not. There is no try. That was terrible, but I got it right this time.
I like it. I
Uh,
can't believe you actually
You
did.
torture
So well
the guy.
done.
You torture the guy, Chet.
I did. I'm sorry.
It's the actor in me. I still
You did
got
great.
it.
It was
The
great.
theater. But yeah, it's, you know, what wasn't already said. Empire Strikes Back, you know, as awesome as, you know, the fight scene in Clones is, nothing beats Yoda training Luke and all those moments. And, you know, the interaction between him and Luke during all of that. And it's, I also love an awesome training montage / you know, trainer stuff, whether it's, you know, Rocky and Mickey, Rocky and Creed, or Stick and Daredevil, just name, you know, a few, but it's just like the Yoda and Luke stuff. And if it wasn't for Yoda, you know, we don't have so much iconic moments, and in the storyline, a lot of things don't happen if it's not for Yoda. How he's able to survive the Emperor's attack in Revenge of the Sith, escape, you know, and at the time, you know, it's only like him and Obi-Wan to our knowledge are the only two Jedis remaining. So it just goes to, you know, his craft, and it's just, it's Master Yoda. There's so many other quotes I could say that I'm not going to butcher with the impression. But
I thought it was good. I thought it was a pretty solid impression, man.
But thank you. But Yoda's great. Yoda's awesome, and you know, because of Yoda, we have Grogu. So it's you know, just an iconic, one of the iconic Star Wars characters. Frank Oz, right?
Mm-hmm.
The voice. So can't go wrong with Yoda. And Chris, take us home.
Yep. My number one is Cal Kestis. Like I said, it's most of my picks on this list were biased just because I just got through the playthroughs of the Jedi Order games.
I laughed when I got your list. I was like, he's got like the whole cast on here. This is great.
Yeah, literally. Like, and here's the thing. Like, I Star Wars has been one of the film franchises like I could just put on in the background. and just I could fall asleep to it, wake up, know where I left off. Like I've watched the movies religiously, enough to where like they're one of my top 5 films. If you guys haven't seen that video from us last week, go check it out. Chin is still very upset that I didn't put it with him and Benson, but it's
Yeah, no, I gave you a hard time. I was like 4. You put it at 4, and I was just not in the top 2. Yeah.
Well, the fact that you guys both had it at like number
We both had
one,
a number 1.
One.
Yeah.
but I'm a Lord of the Rings fan first, and I'm sorry.
It's fair. It's solid. If
Um,
there was a trilogy to beat it, it would have been that. So I'll accept it.
Yeah, since I played the games, like they've just been like those have been my Star Wars as of late. What I've been mostly getting like my enjoyment of the franchise out of, and I'm a stickler for a good character arc. And Kestis has a solid one. You know, he gets the repercussions of the Clone Wars. You know, he's only one of the few Jedi's survived after the whole thing. And just seeing his struggle with going with his own decisions and then going with his like the chosen path that he's supposed to be doing as a Jedi. Like there's just so much growth with him. And also only one of the Jedi's I know that could get a customizable lightsaber color.
It is pretty cool how much like
Like,
you can customize that in the game.
He they don't say exactly which color lightsaber he has, right? Like they don't in the game. It could be blue, it could be green, it could be indigo. I'm just saying, like that's kind of cool.
Let me ask you this: if he shows up live action or in an animated thing, what color saber do you think he shows up with?
He would most likely come up with blue because the only lightsaber that because the lightsaber hilt that he still technically owns is his late master's saber. And also along with it's a multi. He's got General I'm going to botch his name. Japar, is that how you pronounce it?
Oh, I think so.
And then you have his Master Seer that he got on both hilts, but like his main color before then was his Master's previous one, which was blue. And because as soon as he gets he finds his and gets his own Kyber crystal, like you kind of got to choose the color. Like there was no just single color of the crystal. You got to pick between the vast rainbow that you could pick between. So
on Ilum.
Yeah, but if you're picking like if you're picking like if he was in live action and what it would be, it'd probably be blue. Though I would say it's probably would be in my opinion. I hope it's green.
I'd like to see orange.
Yeah.
I don't know why he just looks cool with an orange blade.
Is it because he has red hair, Chin?
No, it really isn't. I mean, it just looks cool. Every time I play through the games, I play with an orange blade. I just think it looks cool.
See, I love the purple blade. I go straight purple every time.
That's fair. Okay.
He definitely has one of the coolest powers that they created, the Force
Yeah.
Echo.
Yeah.
That's very interesting. Like, and we see that, right? We see that in Ahsoka. Right?
Yes,
Don't we see that?
Ahsoka does it. Yep.
Yeah. And
I like that it came from here first, though, and like they expand. They do a handful of that, even with they kind of do it with Rebels with Ezra and kind of animals. Cal also kind of does that a little bit, like so. It's cool that they expand on the Force and like the abilities that people can have with it.
Mm.
They do a big job, a great job of that in the games.
I also just like the fact that we are kind of unsure of how his connection with the Force is going to be now, especially at the end of the game, the recent game. If you guys haven't played it,
he really tiptoes a lot in the second one, which I like. Like,
Mhm.
he's really on that on that borderline of like going to the dark side in the second.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? Like he really tapped in near the end of the game, all because of one other character, which I was originally going to put on this list too. I wanted to put Bode somewhere on here at some point, but I couldn't find a good spot enough for him because I wanted to add some memes in the beginning. But yeah, because that one moment where he got betrayed, like it really killed him. to like get what he needed for his family. Again, going back to like how he completely disregarded like the old ways of the Jedi, and saying that it's okay to do, you know, to have a family, do all these other things, like really just make his own out of it. And I think just, you know, unlocks so much for his character in the next, and then hopefully in the next one. I'm really excited to see where he goes with it.
Solid pick. Solid picks all around.
Yeah, this was a fun, and once again, Chris and I only knew, and Justin only knew I think his list, and then Chris and I only knew each other. So it was fun going into this and seeing the variety of characters and learning a lot too for someone who's, you know, pretty much only movies and TV, and not even all of the TV. So very fun. Yeah, a couple minutes if you want. I was thinking we do our honorable mentions. I could go through some other comments quick.
That might be longer than the list itself.
So like 2 or 3 a person, I figure. Lolly, if that's you, thanks for tuning in. Really means a lot, buddy. Catch up some of these super chats. I know another one of my favorite Yoda, you know, lines. You will be. Thanks, Murph. And then Ed, you can make a point, Murph, I suppose.
I would say R2. I think if it's through anybody's eyes, it's R2's.
Mm-hmm. And
possibly Hugh Yang, but we'll get into that to another point.
And Murph recognizes greatness. So yeah. Thanks, Guy. And once again, as always, Guy and everyone else who tuned in, thanks for showing up. Really do appreciate it. And the active chat as always makes for a better show. But I'll say a couple, and I'll mention, like, I'm only going to do 2, 3. M-Wave from, I mentioned Rogue One. You can make a case for any of these. I got K2SO on mine, but M-Way, just the whole, it's iconic. I'm one with the Force with me, and that whole scene, awesome portrayal right there. Admiral Akbar, meme or not a meme, he's an important character, and he was, I thought long and hard about Akbar. And then
super quick side tangent on Akbar.
Sure.
It's spoilers if you haven't seen episode 8, but Akbar does not survive it. And I'll never forget being in the theater next to my buddy. And when it's like a throwaway line, which is like, pretty disrespectful to him, but whatever.
Yes.
When they're like,
oh my God, I forgot about that.
Including Admiral Akbar. And all you hear, the silent, like no reaction out of anybody. And my buddy's just like, like
my dad and I were just
funny.
like, they just killed Akbar. Did they just kill? Yeah, that was. I love Akbar, and then we kind of did mention them already, but I'm just going to mention Mos Eisley Spaceport, then the Cantina Band, and from all like the cool characters that we don't know much about, but they're awesome character designs, and we get the 2 Wandamen. I'm sure you guys know their names, but it's it's the Cantina scene and all the puppetry and costumes, really cool. So those are my honorable mentions. But Justin?
Someone who was on my list that I took off my list because, again, I wrote this list like 4 times and kept moving people up and down. Definitely Jyn Erso would have been up there. She definitely gets my honorable mention. Again, great, strong female character. People in this day and age, there's no strong females in movies, but I think Star Wars universe has strong female. With it. Like there should be never a complaint. Like every character in the Star Wars, every female character in the Star Wars universe is strong ever since Leia, right? Like Leia, Padme, Rey, again, a one-shot movie with Jyn. Like she's such a cool character. Other than that, I could have continued putting like Rebel characters on there. Would have been another one. Commander Cody was also up there, but I figured putting Rex on there, I think his story arc was a lot more than Cody's. And the only other character maybe I would have thrown up there, again, like I used to be a big fan of playing the PC Dark Forces, Jedi Knight, Jedi Outcast, was Kyle Katarn. Like he was a cool character, like way back in the day, and I'm like, I wish they would have done more with him, but obviously not with non-canon, I guess. I agree. Right? He's not in the canon.
Yeah, it's technically a lot of stuff.
He was trying to keep it to canon when we were going over this. So
yeah, technically Revan's not canon right now either.
No, he is. He is. He is.
Oh, that's right. Nope. Yep. I lied.
Yes.
Yep, good call.
Where is he? Where? And let's see. If
It's in the. I forget. I'm not gonna remember the issue. It's in a comic though. Don't they mention him?
No, that's Bane, but he is canon based on the Rise of the Skywalker encyclopedia book because they mentioned the because obviously one Exegol, but two it's his legion is mentioned in the.
Who am I thinking of then? In
You're thinking of Darth Bane
no, there's something else. There's a
because Bane was introduced in canon in the most recent Star Wars series.
well, he was introduced in
By
canon
name.
in the
Just
Clone
by
Wars
name.
cartoon.
Well, that too, but
I'll try to remember who I'm thinking of. There's an issue of a comic that I'm like, oh, cool, they mentioned this guy. I'll think of it. Some of my close calls. I mean, basically, like I could have done the whole Rogue One cast. I could have done the entire Rebels crew. I mean, a bunch of the ones you guys had on it, like Lando and stuff. They were all super close. You know, Wedge Antilles, unsung hero. Honestly, I'm not. This is not even a joke. Jar Jar. I disrespected a lot, but Ahmad Best does a lot with that character. But definitely wouldn't have made the top 20 or 30, but it's a respectable character. One character that was very close to making my list, but didn't was Cad Bane. I love the bounty hunters.
Same.
He is like the bounty hunter. I'm just not. I had literally a whole list, and I'm just not going to go.
I
more.
had the whole Bad Batch up.
I would say
there, but
like all the Bad Batch characters. Crosshair is such a cool character they're doing with them now. Also, another one I would love to still see brought into canon live action is Dash Rendar. Love Dash Rendar.
True.
There's just so many to go, but those are just a few of mine. Chris?
I mean, listen, I only have one real honorable mention that we all really haven't discussed, and he was a major point in the entire Star Wars franchise.
Is it Wicket?
No, even better.
Oh, God.
It was the Stormtrooper in episode 1 where he bumps his head on the door coming down.
They give that character. There's a book called From a Certain Point of View. They do it for all 3 of the original movies, and it's like short little stories about random background characters.
Shut up! No, they
and
don't.
he's one of them.
Shut up! That's so cool.
Yep. You can probably find it online somewhere and just read it.
Oh, I wouldn't have to.
Yep.
And then also we already mentioned Gunk Droids. Like those guys are the best. That's all I got. Ooh,
I do
sorry,
wanna highlight-
false. One more. It's one of the it's one of the droids. It's not the battle droids, but it's the ones that go Roger Roger.
Yeah, Battle Droids.
Battle Droids.
Yeah, battle droids. Yeah, those are the best. Especially like going back to the Lego game. If you did the free play and you customize yourself as one of those in like one specific level when you're battling Darth Maul, because they all drop down, then you can just get an army of them and just take them to the end.
Chris, I cannot understate how much you will love the Clone Wars cartoon.
I'm literally going to watch it as soon as we're done with this. Like as soon as we're done and we're all about to go, I'm just going to click off and go watch an episode.
There's one comment from Murph I'm not going to highlight, but there is one I am.
Why not? Why aren't you going to comment that lovely comment from Murph?
So
Highlight it.
to his, and these were characters I think all off our list or on the do not use list.
Yeah,
but
there's
actually,
a lot of the main ones. They were a no go, but there are some awesome characters in the
No,
sequels.
there's not.
I have episode 7 playing
No,
in the
there's-
background. I liked Kylo Ren mostly in episode 7. That another cool Sith lightsaber design. We'll see the sequels for another story, but there are some cool characters I did enjoy in the sequels.
Guy, yes, we did. Salacious Crumb wasn't in here, but honestly, Mike could have put him with Jabba, and I would have been like, "That's cool. They go together."
I should have done that.
Listen, going back to Benson's comment about Kylo Ren, like my favorite part is how he in episode 8 just like to get off on killing his uncle.
I mean, he was pretty. I mean, he didn't do it, but yeah, he was pretty happy about it. More.
Sorry,
But,
I'm done tonight, guys.
But so with that being said, thank you guys for coming in. Thank you once again to the chat tuning in, and this was fun. third, fourth video I've done now live, so it's getting the hang of it. But another thank you to these guys. And yesterday, between Instagram and text messages, I apologize again. So we I kind of didn't put a lot of stock in a holiday that might be happening, that people might be celebrating tomorrow. Originally, I thought about having it on tomorrow night, so I kind of pulled the audible, had it today, and a lot of great communication between all of us. So thanks for hanging with me, and I love how these lists came out. I thought we had a awesome discussion between the four of us with the chat. And before we close, shout out to Justin, thanks for tuning in. Talk about where they can find you, where they can listen to you. You got some cool stuff going on.
Yeah, so Nemesis Prime, Instagram, the Comic-Con podcast right there below my beautiful face. We do weekly shows. You can find us on iTunes, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and any other podcast platform. This week we were scheduled to have someone, but that's probably not going to happen. So it'll probably just be Zach and myself, Milton the Manimal. Follow him on Instagram. And then next week we actually have an author who wrote a pretty amazing book. I'll just kind of tease it out there. He wrote this book about Punisher and kind of like the changing of the guards in the world that we've lived in since his introduction. And that not meaning changing the guard as the character, but just the world like that we all live in. So Zach got a chance to read it, got a free copy, and then we're having the author on next week, and he's written some other comic book related books. So I'm really excited to talk about it. So that's what I got going on.
Awesome. And then Chris.
Yeah, I mean, you could, I'm under the handle From a Little Town. You can find my music pretty much anywhere. Find me on Spotify, Instagram's From a Little Town, Facebook From a Little Town. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I got a new EP in the works and hopefully get that running within the year.
Awesome. Yeah. If you haven't listened to that, it's good stuff, guys. Fan of music, check it out, definitely. And then Chin, the master of the ship, appreciate. Thank you for making the slide. Thank you for the giveaway.
Anytime.
And,
I got my full, years of high school working PowerPoint over here.
Yeah,
no,
that's all you need.
Yeah, right. And Mickey's Magic. I think she said her name was Megan. Yep, just find me on Instagram or go through Mike or something. We'll get you. I'll get you this giveaway. I'll mail it out to you or give it to Mike or something. We'll get it to you though. But yeah, you can find me here a lot of the time. You can find me over at 3 Men in a Basement doing stuff. We're going to be going live this Friday with a big event announcement that happens in May every year. It's going to be great. I think Murph made a comment about it too. Next Saturday, February 24th, if you're in the Massachusetts, New England area, we're hosting a comic crawl. We got 4 awesome stops planned. So yeah, if you're in the area, wanted to go, just hit up 3 Men in the Basement or, me, Dave Shimo on Instagram or anything like that. And we'll get you the itinerary. And that's about it.
Yeah, and the three of the Chin, Justin and I will be at King Con too. Chris, you've heard us mention it. It's an awesome convention in New Jersey. The first Saturday in April. It's going to be, it's the 4th one, right?
5.
I believe.
5.
It is 5. That's right. It's the show keeps on growing. It's a phenomenal show. Greg and DG Comics does a great job. Think about having him. I've interviewed him on Channel before. I'd like to get him again. And I'm sure with the Between 3 Men and Comic podcast, you guys, I know you guys have interviewed him in the past too. And so
we'll be set up there. So yeah.
Yeah, that's a great show. Once again, thank you everyone for tuning in. I appreciate it. I'll stay tuned to my socials, about next time I'm going live. I have a couple of nice ideas I've thrown out there to the guys. So, yeah, everyone have a good night. Enjoy the rest of the week. Be safe, everyone. Take it easy.